Perceived value is just like the presentation of the salon, the cleanliness, the professionalism.
Yeah.
Are they being treated well? And so all of those things play a part in, am I willing to give you $150 for a service that I can go get down the street for $85? What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Rare One podcast. I'm Essence China.
And I'm Adelaide Good.
And today we're going to be talking about charging your worth. And I'm really excited about this conversation because a lot of stylists really struggle with this.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's different elevations that you go from, where you go from free to being paid and from being paid to getting more money. And, you know, just talking about those transitions. And I want to, ask you, how did you go from essentially doing services for free to now charging for your services?
Oh my gosh. I think it's been a complete journey, if I'm being honest. Both of us started really, really young. And so by the time I started actually doing hair that people were paying me, I think I was in like 7th grade. And by that time I was like killing it with cornrows, killing it. I was getting requests from like my brother's friends and doing like all my family members' hair and stuff. And so at first I'm like, no, I'm not charging. I don't even know. But it was my brother who was like, no, they need to be paying you. This is your time. That was my first hustle. Mm-hmm. So he taught me how to charge something. So I'm like, okay, $10. Mm-hmm. He was like, sure. And then it went to like $15. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're never going to come back because I'm charging $15. And then it went to $20. And I thought I was killing it at $20 a head. You couldn't tell me nothing. And so then I'll never forget when I started working for you at like 15, it was like a Saturday. And I did all this hair and you gave me my cut, essentially. Mm-hmm. I was like, what in the world? I have never made this much money doing hair. I thought I was rolling in the dough, okay? Nobody could tell me anything. And then, it just got like, okay, no, I could charge a little bit more now. And it was just these little moments of confidence, not always because my styles were like crazy more extravagant, but I just started to value my time a little bit more. And I also honestly was getting like validation from you and from family members, like, no, you can charge more and that's okay. Now coming into being professional at, what I've been doing for the past, what feels like over 20 years now, or what really has been over 20 years now. We've had multiple conversations about, it's okay that you can up the price for you've put in the work now. You've become a master at this now. And so it's okay for you to do that. And when I tell you it was such a struggle for me because I'm like, well, will people not come back? I mean, it just led into a whole other thing, but it was building the confidence really to communicate it. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel like helped make me make the decision to like, no, I can actually do it now.
Yeah. I feel like my story is similar in the sense that when I was doing it was literally just a hobby. I wasn't thinking about any money until one day I did one of my mom's friend's son's hair, mm-hmm. and she paid me $15. And at that time, that seemed like a lot of money to me. I mean, I was a kid, Yeah. And when I seen $15, I was like, oh, this is where I equated I can get paid for this. Mm-hmm. And then when I went further on into high school my high school friends, I mean, I literally was charging $5. Like I don't even know what, because I didn't really, have that confidence or really see that I can make this like a lucrative thing. Yeah. And one day my father got wind of it because I told you my father, he's the entrepreneur. So he's just like, China. Stop it. $5. He was like, you need to go up. And I thought my father was trying to kill my business because I was popping, but no wonder I was popping.
You was cheap and good.
And so he kept really trying to tell me about raising my prices. And it literally had to, like, it was a mental battle to think that I could change my prices and the clients would still come.
Yeah.
And so I think I went up like $10, $15. I'm not really sure at the time. And I realized that they stayed. Yeah. And even if they didn't stay, my father told me, he was like, when you go up on your prices, you're going to get rid of the riffraff.
And that is, and you said it in different words, but I'm like, no, you get who you pay, like
you attract,
you get who you attract, and there'll be people who are willing.
They're willing to
support you and pay your price.
I think it's about people seeing the value in it. Yeah. Now, I've always been that person that's just like, I'm not trying to rob you. I'm not trying to take advantage of you, but I do have to understand my value and what I'm bringing. And if you're going to spend X amount of money somewhere else that is enhancing your life, then you should be doing that with your hair as well. And so I had to, but we're talking about when I wasn't in a salon and all those things. But once overhead and all types of things, that's a whole nother conversation, because not only am I doing this hairstyle, I'm providing this atmosphere, and this atmosphere, it costs. Yeah. And so that conversation was the biggest piece for me. It's like, okay, now that I know what my value is, I'm going to be violating my integrity with myself if I don't have the courage to communicate it. Yeah. And so I had to, at that time, just, tell my clients, like, okay, it's no longer this, it's now this. Yeah. And be okay with who left. Yeah. Be okay with who left. And the funny thing is, a lot of times people would leave and come back. Yep.
Because they realized that they would then be, again, getting what they pay for. So we always would say, you want some $45 braids, you're going to get some $45 braids, and then you're going to come back and be like, I'll never do it again. I'll just say, I might come less, but I'm coming. Because I want the excellence that is attached to this pricing versus the riffraff that's attached to the other. And it's not to say that it's always going to be riffraff. When you have a lower pricing, we do believe that there's levels.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to value. If a person values you and it's reasonable. Yeah. We're talking about reasonability. We're not talking about, we're astronomically out of range and we're only trying to make it for people who can afford whatever that is. It's no, this is reasonable. Yeah. So if you're a riffraff is somebody who's trying to get something for free or lower than the actual value. Yeah. Yeah. We're not giving our services. I'm not giving my gift away for free. This is a gift that God has given me, and therefore I need to value it the same way. I need to be a good steward over this. And so there are some stylists that are still in this place where they don't even realize they're technically not even being a good steward of their gifting when they're giving it for free. Yeah. Or below.
Or way, there's a difference between like a little bit below and like way below. But there's also a difference between a little above market and then gouging. Yeah, that's it. I think that if we're just unaware of those things, we're going to find ourselves not reaching the right audience that can grow with us, because now I'm so outside of like whatever that margin is. To me, that becomes an integrity issue.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
What is that? I feel like today, if I'm being honest, like sometimes I have clients that come and be like, that's all you charge? And I'm like, I'm a master. I've earned that because I've put in countless hours. What is it, like 50,000 hours or something like that to be a master or something? I'm like, I've put in the time to become a master, but I also know that I don't have to gouge. I know that there's a time and a place, but I still want people to feel like they can come. But now there's this like, I don't know, this environment of like somebody has to pay 3, 4, 5 times the amount for a service, but they don't have that quality. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Like you hearing that, like, what does that even mean to you?
I mean,
maybe from even the outside in.
For the outside, I think that stylists that have these crazy prices and they're really not matching the quality, that's just crazy. Yeah. Like, I think in order to get into any game, you have to be reasonable with yourself about and honestly assess your skills. Yeah. And if your skills are not at a level or the service is not at a level, then this is how you start to gauge like, okay, well, where do I actually place in the market?
Yeah.
And I feel like your prices should reflect that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think also too, some people say, well, they don't want to necessarily, go lower on their prices, but it's like, if you don't have the skills, you going lower on your prices is giving you more opportunity to refine your skills.
Yeah.
And as you refine your skills, then you can start making whatever increases.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. We also look at it as if you gouge, there's no threshold. Where are you going to go? What's your next threshold that you can go to? You're going to be charging somebody $5,000. Nobody's going to be like, there might be somebody that's dumb enough to pay that for a service that doesn't necessarily cost that much. But it's like, are you even giving yourself opportunity and room to grow as your skill and maybe the experience that you provide with that skill increases? I think that as we consider, like, just something that I would want somebody to take away with, understanding when they're charging their worth, what really comes along with it. Have you even done the inventory for yourself, what you actually provide? How much do your products cost? How much does your overhead cost? Like, if you provide a certain what is the word? A certain service that does cost a lot more, is it worth your time? Like, really, really taking inventory of like, where's the actual money going? Are you actually profiting? Because sometimes you can think you are, but you really are not, unless you're going back to really, really, really do the work. We are learning now, like in this process, some services are not actually worth the time or the money. But that takes doing the work to figure out, this actually doesn't make me as much money as I thought it could, even though it could be a high ticket item. I don't get enough clients for the investment that it might take. So I think really like encouraging stylists, start to do the real assessment of like what your services actually cost, because you could be making more if you refine skills on certain things that can elevate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially you're saying count up the cost. Like, so there's the cost of your time, and I think the cost of your time is kind of equivalent to your skills, you know? And then there's the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
And again, if there's no awareness of that, how really can you gauge it? You know, when we coach stylists, we're like, okay, first of all, you have to look at your market.
Yeah.
Because you can't be looking at what's happening in New York if you're in Kansas.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Completely like, different margins.
You have to know your market because it has to do with the cost of living. Mm-hmm. It has to do with, your overhead. It's all of those things that are going to be considered. And it's not to say that if you're not an amazing stylist in Kansas that you can't be getting top tier, but what is top tier? What is that threshold for where you're at?
Right.
Versus if you're in another place. And so all of those things have to be taken into account. I think the issue becomes an issue when people are wanting to go up on their prices, or they're like, it's almost like this arrogance of, well, I need to charge my worth. But it's like, but what really is your worth? And not in no kind of way, but it's just like, what are you now bringing to the table that is enhancing this service and this client experience that does equal that does make sense, because people are willing to pay you based off of perceived and actual value.
Yeah.
And some of that perceived value is just like the presentation of the salon, the cleanliness, the professionalism.
Yeah.
Are they being treated well? And so all of those things play a part in, am I willing to give you $150 for a service that I can go get down the street for $85?
Yeah.
And so I think that these are the things that a lot of times get overlooked because people are only looking at, well, look at my braids.
Yeah.
When I started out of my apartment was different because it was my apartment. I didn't necessarily have the overhead. And I do understand it's still a perceived value. People don't perceive things as high if they're coming to your home.
Yeah.
Unless you literally have a full-on built-out salon.
Yeah.
And I think that, yes, people automatically see a home and they even may think, oh, okay, kids gonna be running around. And so, yes, that definitely changes the perceived value. Now, if you do have like a dedicated space that you have your salon in, and you probably could still get salon prices. But just keep in mind that when you step into a salon, you now are incorporating all of your other costs, right? And so that does like make room for you to increase your prices. But it's not to say that you should devalue yourself if you're at home, but it is to say that you have to be reasonable and understand that there is a perceived value with that.
Yeah, for sure. I always think of it, would you pay a different price if you're eating in somebody's house versus eating in a restaurant? Well, you have a different expectation. And so if that expectation matches the experience, then essentially you know what you're paying. You know what that cost kind of that would make sense in your head. I think it definitely could be within a circumstance, but we absolutely believe that there's a threshold. There's a line that essentially you cross when you establish yourself in a physical space that's dedicated just to that. That now, yes, your value can increase, but if you're charging what a salon might charge in your home, then are you going to be charging like almost double that by the time you get into a physical location? It's really considering all those things. And so I 100% agree. Like, there is a perceived value, and do yourself the favor of meeting that perceived value so that you have room to increase that's reasonable to the people that you already serve.
Yeah.
So if you're charging them $20, and this is hypothetical, but if you're charging them $20 to do it inside of your home, well, then you'll be justified to do it for $45 to $50 in your salon, because now you've established a different line of professionalism that your client they'll be more apt to paying.
Yeah. Ooh, I wish we had a little bit more time. Only because I do feel that, it's really rare that you have somebody who operates out of their home and it feels like a business.
Very rare.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
What I have heard because we have to listen to the experiences of people who are getting their hair done, it's like, she's taking too many breaks. Her kids.
You real comfortable at home.
She's smoking cigarettes. So there's all these other things, and it's like, you don't understand that this is depreciating your value.
Yeah.
Because it's not dedicated for the client. This is not the client's experience. The client is coming into your home, and this is about you, and you happen to be doing their hair.
Yeah. And let's be very clear. We started there. So it's not like we're preaching and saying that this is something that we didn't actually experience. No, but we actually.
No, but I am preaching.
True. But we followed the steps. There were steps, there were levels. And once you get to a certain level, you can kind of warrant that. But when you're at this level, that's what's going to come with it, is your pricing may be lower because you're just at that level.
Right.
And when you get to a higher level, then you can charge that.
Right. And the only reason why I said I am preaching is just to say that was I'm joking, but I'm not joking. Even when I was 15, braiding out of my parents' laundry room, I had a dedicated space, and I was not taking breaks, and I had my phone and the house phone, and my pager, and I would, you know what I'm saying? Like, I operated as a business then. You have to have a business mind to get there. And so it's like, okay, start moving as if the vision is already there. You know what I mean? Like, I was so business before I even opened a salon that on my voicemail of my cell phone, by the time I actually got a cell phone, I said, "Thank you for calling Rare Essence Studio. We're not able to get to the phone right now." I was already thinking of me being in a building. And so I think that sometimes when stylists are braiding out of their home, they're there and that's all they see. They don't see beyond that and how they can grow. And so if you're thinking about growth and just overall just building yourself to get to another place, then act like you're already in that place.
Yeah. And prepare. Do the work to prepare.
Right.
To be there. Because you can't practice a role and you can't get to a role and think you're going to be successful in it without practicing being that already.
Right.
And we tell people that all the time.
Hold yourself to a higher standard.
All the time. And sometimes the question is, how long did it take you to do them braids?
Oh, come on now.
Because if it takes you, we always tell stylists, especially if they first come to us, if it takes you 4 hours to do a 2-hour service, we can't justify charging the client the maximum price just because it took you 4 hours.
Yeah.
So all of those things are taken into consideration.
Absolutely. You have to look at what a client's going to value.
Yeah.
They value their time.
Yeah.
So if they're waiting, or if the service takes considerably longer than another stylist takes, tension.
Yeah.
It may be a fly style, and it may not even take it that long, but if it's pulling their hair out, or if it's too tight, like all of those things go into, okay, where am I really at as a stylist? And what is that actual value that I'm adding? And so, those are the two things that are like really important. Obviously, the environment, the customer service, and all of that. But the assessment of your skills is really going to determine that. Obviously, there's inflation and everything is going up. So that definitely plays a part in, okay, everything else is going up. Why am I still keeping this price?
Right.
Because I'm afraid to communicate it, or I don't really see my value, or, and that's where, again, you have to sit down and look at everything to say, okay, everything else has went up. Okay, I have to do a hike. And the funny thing is, like, just imagine if you're doing, I think reasonably 20 clients a week. Like, that's about a reasonable number, right? If you just went up $10 at 20 clients, that's $200 a week. That's $800 a month.
Yeah.
Just a $10 increase, which I think is, fairly small, you know? And so it's like, where do you have a margin to go up on a particular service? Are you providing better products? All of those things do really matter. And people can tell, clients, they're paying attention to a lot more than I think that stylists are even aware of.
Yeah, they sure are.
They see everything.
And some are not afraid to tell you. Sometimes they're not nice about it, but sometimes they're, they don't, they're going to say it.
And I think, again, when people value the service, when you have top tier service and you're operating in excellence, not only will they pay your worth, they'll tip you well. Yeah. Because they're so grateful for this experience, because these types of experiences are rare.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you even given a rare experience? Are you given an authentic experience? What is authentic to you? Trying to be like the other stylists that, I have to have this aesthetic, or I have to have this, or I have to play this. No, like inviting a client into your experience, that's a part of you presenting yourself in the most free form and inviting form, because they're attracted to you. It's not going to be like that for everybody else. And I think that once you're more aware of that, that can even increase your pricing, because you now know you're providing a whole different, a way more unique experience for somebody that they're not going to get anywhere else. That requires confidence. Again, that requires assessment of what's something that does invite me into a better relationship with my clients. Am I asking them certain questions? Am I making them feel heard? Like, am I taking my time doing certain things? All of those things actually matter, that you have the potential to increase your skill level to be able to now, like, if you did go up $10 or $15, they're like, I cannot wait to go back, and I don't care. I know that there are people, I look at myself as, how do I experience people who serve me? And what are some of those good things that attract me to keep coming back to them? And how can I make sure to incorporate that unique experience with my clients? And then literally when my masseuse says, I'm going up I don't care. I don't care if you go up $50. I'm coming back.
Right. Because I love this place.
Because I love this place.
I love how I feel. Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. This kind of goes off the path, but how did you deal even with family members who saw the gift?
Oh, that's a phenomenal question.
Wanted your services. Yeah. And over time, yes, at first you're like, you're developing, you're learning, you're experiencing, but at some point it costs you to serve them. Yeah. And so sometimes in a stylist's mind, they may battle with charging their family member, or where do you draw that line?
Oh,
and
my goodness.
And is it because of this relationship? Like, how do you?
No, that's an excellent question. And I don't think that in this industry we talk about it enough because, again, it stems from this root of what we do has not always been seen as a profession versus a hobby. What I do is literally my livelihood. I get to creatively express myself through doing hair, and it pays my bills. Therefore, it is a profession. I'm not just doing this because it's fun. Yes, it is fun, and I keep it that way. But it's really, it had gotten to a point where if I don't communicate my boundaries, I know that it's going to affect my relationship long term with him. And so it's learning to communicate kindly so that you can be clear. I don't have to cuss them out. I don't have to tell them, you don't respect me, you don't do this. Like, sometimes I might feel that way, but the reality is I can communicate better with, my time is really valuable. I know that you want me to provide this service for you, and I'm grateful that you want to support me. But I also know that if I don't keep these boundaries very clear, it might build a bridge between us that I don't want to happen. Mm-hmm. So these are the parameters that I need to be able to continue to do this for you. So if you want your hair done consistently, this is what it looks like. If you want your hair done every, 5-6 months, that might be a different conversation. Right. But if you want your hair done every month or 2 months or whatever, okay, that might be another conversation of, okay, well, this would be the expectation. You may not have to pay my full price for it because you're my sibling or my cousin or my niece or whatever. But if you want that consistency from me, then
you want your hair done every 2 weeks.
Then I need the reciprocation that you do value what I'm doing too, because I would show you the same love.
Yeah.
If I'm going to your restaurant, I'm not about to eat free food all the time. I'm paying for my food because this is something that God gave you.
Right.
So I want to be able to support it. But if I'm coming expecting for it to be free just because we have relationship, that's going to build a bridge and one really, really quick. Versus if it's my child mm-hmm. or my husband or my mom, like
those more intimate.
If it is a more intimate relationship where I'm not doing it all the time. I mean, it's different for my kid, of course, right. But for like my mom or my sister or whatever, if I'm not doing their hair all the time, that's just an opportunity for us to bond.
Right.
So yeah, I can spend my time, but they also know the parameters. Yeah. They know the boundaries because I communicated them.
Yeah, I think that, for the better part, my brothers and my mom and even my sister, like they all got their hair done for free. They were my advertisement, early on.
Yeah.
And even when I had a business and things were still going, it was just like they weren't getting their hair done so frequently that it really took me away from what I needed to do. And a lot of times it's not just, am I being compensated? But now you want me to come outside of work hours where this is a whole nother thing. Like when I'm at the salon, I'm at the salon. Yeah. You can book within salon hours and I don't mind giving you whatever rate. But now it's costing me not just finances, so to speak, but then it's also costing me my time, my own personal time.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a challenge. And for me, I didn't grow up with a large family. Yeah. So even though I was really good at braiding hair, I didn't have a lot of people making me feel obligated to doing their hair. Whereas there are some stylists that are really dope at what they do and they have a large family.
Yep.
And everybody is feeling that they should get their hair
done.
When
is it my turn? When you going to do? You can't go on trips. You can't go visit family. You can't do anything without feeling the pressure of I have to do somebody's hair on this. It got to the point where I had to communicate, I am not touching a single person's head except my own. Mm-hmm. You need to figure out what you're going to do when we go on this trip because I'm not doing it. I knew that I wouldn't be able to have a good time, but they don't see that. They just see you got this skill. It don't take you that long. Not that it's taking away from your freaking soul because now I have to get back in work mode, it hurts because it's like you're missing it.
Yeah. And I think that the unique thing with people who are like stylists is that you walk with your hands. So it's like, well, why can't you do it? Like, you're here, your hands are here. Like,
oh my gosh, that's so good. Yeah.
But they don't belong to you. And that don't mean I need to do your hair. So, but what would you say to like a stylist that does have a large family, that does feel that obligation and like knowing where that bridge is to where it's like, yes, I did I was grateful that I had family that I could practice on. But
Yeah.
now I'm at that threshold of really needing to communicate my worth with maybe not all of my family members, but some of my family members. So I'm not taking advantage. And so I can actually build a business. Like, what would you say to them?
Absolutely. If it is something that you actually love doing, that gives you time to bond and have time and spend time with your family, and you know that you want to encourage their confidence in any type of way, then carve out specific time. So that's, you know what? I have this day that's available this month. If you want your hair done, you have to basically like request this time and this date, put parameters around your time. It would be really disheartening if every time, let's just say you moved out of state, every single time you go back home, they're filling up every single day of your time there. That's not a vacation. That's not a rest. That's not a break. Now I got to go work to work. Like that, I got to go home to work. No, that if I carve out time, like, oh, I can do this on these days because it's something that I actually enjoy, cool, then do it. Or create a space for them to say, okay, for clients that may cancel, that my family can request maybe an appointment, but don't book time that somebody pays for that you're not willing to pay for when somebody else could, you know? So like really just making clear what those parameters are. I'm not doing hair after a certain time. I always tell my friends, my family, I don't know nothing about hair when I'm outside of the salon. Don't ask me. I don't know what curls are. I don't know what a braid is. Like when it comes to my kids, when it comes to my family, everyone who knows me knows, please don't ask me questions about hair when I'm not working, because my uninterrupted time goes to my family. They know that without a shadow of a doubt, and most respect it, but they respect it because I communicated, and I don't have to be a jerk to do it. I don't know.
Right. It's just
I don't know. I can't answer that question. If you text me about your hair on the weekend, I'm getting back to you during my work hours.
For sure.
If I don't come back until Thursday, you will not get an answer until Thursday. And if I don't keep my word to myself, then I'm literally gonna keep hurting myself and hurting the relationship. But if I communicate to them, if you text me outside of these hours, if you do X, Y, or Z, again, you don't have to be mean to just say what you know you need. And I think once I started to protect my time, protect my boundaries, and protect my family, it's to the point sometimes my kids be like, Mom, I know you do hair, but do you like work? Because when you're here, you're just in full mom mode, you know? But I knew that if I didn't do that, I would be vacillating between these roles all the time. It would make me resent one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I don't want to encourage anybody to resent a gift that God gave them just because they're not willing or have the courage to put those parameters around them to protect that gift and to protect their time.
Yeah. I think that's really good. I was thinking about ways that stylists can build their value and build their worth outside of like the skill set, you know, because I think that there's so much focus on the skill set that, you know, other areas may get neglected because it's like, oh, okay, well, my braids are good. And it's just like, okay.
Yeah, but you're a crappy person, or you're just mean, or you're sad all the time.
There's so much more to it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was just thinking about like some practical ways, but I think more so than anything, it's like pouring into yourself.
Yeah.
You know our favorite statement.
Yeah.
Your business can only grow
to the extent that you do
as a person.
Yep.
And with that being said, it's just like you may say, okay, well, I'm not making as much as I would like to make. Increase your value.
Yeah.
Increase your mindset about yourself, because maybe you should really be making more because your lack of belief in yourself is not allowing you to communicate what your new value is or what what you are now saying your prices are. Yeah. So this is why I really feel like it's like, yes, work on the skill set, but work on your mindset.
Yeah.
Because your mindset is also going to it's going to grow. It's going to make you more valuable, and you're going to attract a different type of clientele that's willing to pay you beyond what you even think you're worth sometimes.
Yeah. And with your mindset shifting, your discipline, your desire to be disciplined will shift, and that's gonna it's like literal, you're gonna get fruit once your mind shifts and your discipline shifts. Like the fruit is just gonna come. You don't even have to worry as much about the fruit, but are you even taking the time to say, where am I mentally? Who am I surrounding myself with? What does fill me up? Because there's a lot of people out here in a shell doing, but they're not being. I'm not being a good person. I'm not being kind to myself. I'm not being present. I'm not being patient. I'm not even being diligent to stewarding this gift. Sometimes that might mean you have to ask your clients what that experience is of you. That might mean you have to ask your family what that experience is of you. Because if you're that unaware, you're going to have to get feedback from people that, I would say, start with people who love you. Because if you start with a stranger, they might rip you a new one and that might shoot your confidence all the way down. But if you start with people who love you, to help you get an idea, where could I refine? Like asking sincerely to be able to just start doing the work, knowing that they love you enough to be able to tell you.
Yeah.
Like it's not always easy at all, because you're probably going to hear some things you don't want to hear. Like, girl, you always late. Girl, you don't value people's time. You don't care. Like, you don't care about the details. You don't care about the environment. You make a really big mess when you're doing somebody's hair, and it doesn't make them feel pretty. It makes them feel like cute and dirty at this. Like, if somebody loves you enough to be able to share those things with you, now you then have an opportunity. Am I going to change it?
Right.
Or am I not?
Right. And I think that stylists can also do that with clients that they have a trusted relationship with, that they trust that they will tell them the truth, even if it may make them see something about themselves that may not be the most, desirable, but it's at the same time, it gives you an opportunity to, strengthen that area.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to ask you and it just literally left my mind. But what have you done specifically to increase your value aside from the skill sets?
I think some of the things that I know for sure is, if I did not take the time to spend intentional time with God for clarity, for direction, and for peace, then I felt like I knew there was a time I'm like, am I just going through the motions? Am I just going in circles? Like, am I even having an impact? Now being able to spend that time and like, okay, God, what do you want me to do today? Not tomorrow, not next year, not next week, whatever it is. What do you want me to do today? How can you show me something that I can participate in today to be able to meet my clients' needs, to be able to listen to them? Can you quiet in me whatever noise I have so that I can hear?
That's good.
Can you dig a little well of empathy, a deeper well of empathy, so that if my client comes upset or frustrated, I don't take it personal, so that now I'm a safer place for them. If I didn't spend that time with God for him to fill me up, I know for a fact I would be no good, because I'm just going to be quote, quote, fleshy all the time. It'll always be dependent on, is this person giving me what I need? Are they doing what I need? But how can I show up and meet the need?
Right.
And so now it's not only made me more aware with how I serve clients, but how I lead. Can I do the same thing for my team?
Right.
Can I be able to look at them and see something is disrupting you? Can I not take it personal and meet them where they're at? It's made me softer. It's made me kinder. Like, I know that it's translated into every other area of my life, because I'm like, okay, God, dig this thing out in me so I can show up authentically to be this, instead of trying to be the boss all the time, trying to be you got to come to me. No, can I nurture the leader in them? But also, can I nurture the leader in my client? Because I have a thing where I don't want them to leave the same. That's like a real thing for me now. Is I want you to come in here. I want to make your hair gorgeous, but more than anything, I want you to feel lighter. I want you to smile. Yeah. Like, I want you to see yourself in how God created you so perfectly. I want to intrigue your mind. And one of the things, like you taught me a long time ago, is I'm going to ask them intriguing questions that it feels like a risk. sometimes. Am I even asking myself those questions? Am I going back and doing the same work that I'm even encouraging them to do? Because to me, if I'm asking them something or encouraging them to do something that is inauthentic to me, then I'm like, I'm a liar.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And so it is like really, really being intentional with like, what are they going to leave within this? Even if it's an hour, are they going to feel heard? Are they going to feel seen? Are they going to feel loved? Do I feel heard? Do I feel seen? Do I feel loved with anybody that I love? Do I even make myself available to feel those things with the people that I love? And if I can answer yes, I can give that. If I answer no, then I'm going to communicate that basically I ain't got it today. But it's like, I'm going to be honest with them because I'm also being honest with myself. And so again, going back to, if I'm spending time intentionally with God, I know he's going to bring out whatever I need that day. So where it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to learn integrity in 6 months. No, how can I demonstrate integrity today? How can I demonstrate being kind today? Tomorrow will worry about itself.
Right.
But I'm being intentional, knowing that I want tomorrow to be able to reflect this and then I can build on it.
I like that because I think the sensitivity to that really speaks to, there's no value you really can put on somebody feeling seen, somebody feeling heard, somebody experiencing kindness.
Yeah.
I think that those are the simple things that are often overlooked.
Yeah.
And because they're overlooked, many people are not doing it. So when a person experiences that, it's refreshing and they value it.
Yeah.
And when they value it, they see more worth in it to where they're willing to pay a stylist even more.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay, how can I consistently be that? But I think you pretty much nailed it on the head. It's like, you only really can consistently be that if you're not pouring from yourself, like you're being poured into, and therefore this is the overflow that they are receiving, as opposed to, I just want to give.
Yeah.
And then you're
You're
gonna
empty.
You're gonna be
and
on
bitter.
E and crash, or you know what I'm saying? Whether it's mentally or however it may be, it's like it doesn't necessarily work. So I think that stylists can really find that it's so much more than just, you know, the hairstyling.
Yeah.
It's every area, your mindset, your spirit, your mental health, you know, all those things are going to make a person feel more inclined to pay you well.
And even going back to your question, a lot of that had to do with healing. Knowing that you're going to be dealing with clients and dealing with the intricacies of their life. If you're not healed, you will bleed on them. This is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because your ability to relate to whatever they're going through is always going to be a reflection of, how did that trigger me? So then your advice to them, or how you even want to empathize with them, may be your trauma. And your trauma could not be encouraging to them.
Perpetuating a negative,
Yeah. And so really just being able to check, well, what is my response? If somebody's coming to me with hardship, am I responding with hardship? Am I responding with a way that's going to lead them to healing?
Right.
You're not their therapist, and we know that. And some of us have kind of assumed that role. It is, can I be their friend? Can I just listen to them?
Yeah.
Can I not make it about me right now? Could I make it about them? But even me understanding what my response is to whatever they have to say could be an indicator that I might have to do some work.
Right.
I might have to do some healing so that I don't bleed on people.
Right. And I think we've never necessarily arrived. You know, I think that we're always healing. We're always growing. But it's just being aware of,
where
I'm not
at?
perfect. You know what I'm saying? And like, this is where I am, and I'm working, like I'm aware and I'm working on it, you know, and I want to be able to help you along your journey as well. But I think that that's really key. Yeah.
And it's not about being fake. It's not about like faking your way to it. No, it's, where are you at today? There have been times we had a season of grieving in the salon. I mean, it felt like there were so many people passing away in our lives, like people that we genuinely loved and were close to, that were passing. And sometimes it was just communicating to our client, I'm actually grieving today. So I want to show up as my full self. I think part of even adding value is showing up as a real person, because now you're inviting somebody to say, it's okay that you're real. It's okay that you're a human being and you're experiencing life. They can then provide you space to be like, I know this is a creative outlet for you, so you can go in. They could give you a hug. I've definitely had clients where I'm in the salon in the chair and had someone pass away while I'm there, and I just instantly break down crying, and my client is the one who consoles me because I was open enough to say, I am so sorry. I do need to take a minute. I just got notification that somebody passed. Just being open and honest with them, because I'm a real human being.
Yeah.
And so they get to experience real life with you, and not just this fake plastic, I'm just going to show up and be perfect all the time.
Right.
And so a part of me adding value is also a part of me being really fully present in who I am and what I might be dealing with, where I'm not necessarily bleeding on them, but I'm still communicating to them that, oh yeah, I'm grieving, or I'm hurt, or whatever. And it just is what it is.
Yeah. I have a question. And it speaks to doing celebrities.
Yeah.
And pricey even with that, and knowing your time even with that, because a lot of times they may not want to be in the salon, and they may want you to come to them, and that's your time and your gas. And we both work with celebrities, but how has that been different for you, and even how you even think about what your worth is and what it actually looks like?
I think that's an excellent question. The past couple of years, I definitely had to come to you like, I don't even know what to charge initially, because I do know that they have a certain expectation of almost perfectionism, but then sometimes you be looking like, I know you paid somebody maybe $1,000 to do that, and that's wrong, and so again, mine came back to, I know what God called me to do. If he called for this to happen, how am I going to show up? Am I going to show him, or am I going to show me and try to be all proud or whatever? And it is, okay, I have to start breaking down. I need to have a flat fee for me even going to you. If it's further than 10 or 15 minutes, it's a different price.
Right.
Because I know that, including the services that I provide.
Right.
And I know I'm showing up professionally. I know that my communication is very clear. I know that I'm showing up even dressed professionally, because this is what I do. It's not just, I don't want to intrigue nobody to cross a boundary with me. And so I need to be very clear on what services I'm providing. And I'm going to tell you what the pricing is for each one. And if that's something you agree to, great. And if not, move along.
Right.
My value it's not dependent on your status. And I look at it as, you just get paid more for your job. That's it. You in a job that they just pay you more, but you still have a job to do. I still got a job to do. So if you want my time, you want my expertise, this is what it is. It's not me being proud. It's me being professional.
Right.
Versus I'm trying to now gouge you because I know you got it.
I know you got it.
Like, I'm not about to charge somebody $10,000 knowing that I want to still give them it better match 10 G's. That's all I'm saying.
Whatever you're bringing.
If I'm charging you a rack to do something that may look simple to you, it's going to match that 100%. I'm telling you, I'm breaking this down. What is included with my time? Me coming to you, it's an automatic high rate, because my time is super valuable. Now I have to work outside of what my parameters are. And so as a stylist who does want to service people outside of their business, you just need to know what it looked like for you.
Yeah.
You told me, what is your hour worth?
Yeah.
Away from your kids, because that's where I want to be. If I could every day, I want to be there. What's my hour worth? And I'm like, I ain't doing nothing less than this,
Right.
I ain't doing nothing for less than this. If it's 1 hour, it can't be no minimal fee,
Right. It needs to make sense.
It needs to make sense.
It has to make sense.
It has to.
Yeah.
And if you're unwilling to communicate, you can be absolutely manipulated into that. I have very clear, please do not smoke when I'm there. Please, or before I get there, because I don't want to smell it. I don't want it up in my hair. I don't want you affecting what God also, called me to do. But also when I'm there, Am I going to see you? Am I going to engage with you? Or am I going to be afraid of your status? No, I still want you to have the same experience that somebody would have with me in the salon.
Yeah.
The same one.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that there are stylists who are booked and they do want to like take more clients, but at the same time, their capacity for their 40-hour work week is already spent.
Yeah.
And so even when we think about, say, after hours fees and, off day fees, it's like, you know what? I actually don't mind taking more clients, but because, I'm at a capacity for me to do anything over hours or after hours, it's going to cost more money.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of stylists don't see that.
Yeah.
And so they may just be like working outside of work hours, same cost.
Yeah. Nope. I don't even encourage our team to do that.
Right.
I want them to understand that their time is valuable, that you could be doing other things with your time, but yet you chose to be here doing it. And that for the people who you are serving, it's so important to just communicate that to them. They want to get paid for overtime.
Right.
At their job.
Yeah. Overtime.
They want to get paid. You know what they want to get paid? Time and a half. So if I'm communicating to you that it's going to be this fee and you mad, realizing that you wouldn't want your boss, you wouldn't want somebody at the place that you call work, you wouldn't want them to devalue that. So why would I, it's really just making sure that, again, you're just communicating as much as possible.
Yeah. And I want stylists to really understand that is something that they should institute if they're not instituting it. It's just like, don't feel guilty for charging people more outside of your work hours. Like, these are the hours. If you can't get in, I understand. There's 3 weeks down the road you can get in. Otherwise, there is an after hours fee. And so I just really want stylists to kind of, see that and implement that if need be.
Yeah.
As opposed to just doing it. Like, okay.
Yep. So I hope that people got something from.
I know they did.
I hope you got something from what we discussed. But know that it takes something to charge something. Like, know what you're sowing. Know that you're sowing good seeds. Because if you want the harvest to be someone respecting your time, are you respecting the people's time that you want to sow back into you? So again, we always talk about assessment. We always talk about doing your work, and knowing what to charge for your time requires you to do that inventory. It requires you to do that work. So we absolutely encourage you to do that. And if you need help, we coach and we teach people how to do this and how to do it with integrity and how to do it with a good heart. Because we know that there's a lot of industry outside of the salon industry and inside of the salon industry that doesn't always do those things with integrity. And we can change that.
Absolutely.
We can change that.
Absolutely. You said that well. But yes, there just has to be a value exchange.
Yeah.
There has to be a value exchange. As long as you're providing value, you're going to do well. And the more you increase your value, you're going to do even greater. Ask yourself the question, how can I increase my value?
Yeah.
Not just in my skill set, in every area of my life.
That's so good.
And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.
Love y'all.
Peace and blessings.